I think for me, the most memorable aspect of this course was when we learned about the 9/11 attacks on like the Twin Towers and stuff like that. It was pretty impactful for me because um, my family, like we knew people that died on 9/11 and stuff like that. So it kind of like reminisced like the stories I've heard about that, and yeah, just tragedy.
I would say that I made a lot of fun memories when we visited the waterfront because I haven't been on a school trip in a long time and I learned a lot about Bellingham's history.
One of the most memorable and impactful parts of this course was learning how to use primary and secondary sources to build and support my arguments. I never realized how influential it was being able to analyze who is telling the story and why. Before this course, I would take textbook information at face value, but now I take the time to reflect and understand the perspectives and ideas behind it.
I think a part of this course that challenged me to think differently was all the packets that we did about like looking at different sides of an argument or a historical debate and really trying to figure out what the main idea was and what actually happened.
I think that the biggest thing that challenged me to think differently was when I learned about the differences between how people in the 1950s grew up, my mother, and how I did, especially when looking at schools.
This course taught me how to use lateral reading skills more effectively. I learned how to cross-check information across multiple websites, identify bias, and evaluate credibility. These skills taught me how to be more mindful of the information I consume, which is something I will definitely carry with me into the future, especially considering how misleading the internet can be.
I guess a story that I learned this quarter uh, about the Great Depression like really made me think differently about like the time period. I didn't really know anything about it, and it made me feel like really bad for like all the people that came over from like Oklahoma and things like that, and had no jobs and like died because of starvation. Um, so that like made me feel differently, or think about that situation completely differently.
One historical narrative that really stood out to me was the Little Rock Nine, because it really made me think about how far we've come in terms of inclusivity compared to their time. After doing my interview with my mother, I was able to connect the two and see the differences.
One story that stuck with me was learning about Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. I was taught the simplified version in middle school. Rosa sat down, got arrested, and later the civil rights movement followed. Learning about this event with added context and more details completely changed the way I viewed it. It wasn't a singular courageous act. It was a carefully planned protest that sparked a boycott that was led by an entire community that decided positive change needed to happen. Hearing about the way people organized alternatives to taking the bus, like carpooling and walking miles to and from work every day, and how they stood their ground despite being harassed, honestly inspired me. It made me realize how powerful a community can be when everyone comes together and refuses to back down.
This I think I learned a lot about really like looking into what sources people were using when they were constructing an argument, like really trying to like dig deeper into what was happening. That really like helped me learn more about how to get to the bottom of a problem.
This is the first class where I really feel like I learned about the differences between the two, and I think it was very effective to figure out how to construct arguments using them.
I think one of the biggest skills I'll take with me is being able to build an argument based on solid evidence and knowing the difference between a primary and secondary source. I know these skills will be extremely valuable to me when I use them in college essays or need to build strong arguments based on sound, persuasive evidence.
I think that I will use these skills in the future through just like many things, like conversation with friends, work, um, just trying to find like the truth to certain things and what actually happened in situations and stuff like that.
These skills will help me in the future because I know how to verify if something is real or not by using multiple types of sources.
Overall, this class didn't just teach me what happened in history, it helped me understand why it matters and how I can apply the lessons I learned moving forward.